So thanks for coming. This is the DIY Government Redesign Revolution talk, and we thought this was a good opening slide because, you know, it illustrates, you know, this dashing group of rebels who are going to, you know, save the universe from an oppressive regime, which is not all that accurate, but, you know, it's nice to think about.
But yeah, it really surmises our journey onto Joomla.
Yeah.
And we have a hashtag, it's DIY JWC, so please use that and we'll check it at the end of our presentation and go over any questions or comments or advice you have for us.
Yeah.
Okay, hi, I'm Kate Spencer. Again, thank you for being here. I have a liberal arts background, and once I got out of college, I had to get an actual job. So, you know, maybe like a lot of us here or not. You know, I taught myself some web work, and I'd done some freelance web stuff in college, and ended up working in state of Texas government for a few years. And then about 4.5, 5 years ago, I came to Travis County, which is located in Austin, Texas. And I've been there since, and I'm a webmaster on our small team. My Twitter handle is @KateSplad.
And I'm Chris Stangland. I grew up in the, you know, the East Coast megacity, you know, Boston, New York. I have a painting degree from Mass College of Art, which comes in handy all the time. And right at the end of my schooling in about 1997, I misappropriated some student loans and bought a computer, and it worked out great. I was a web producer for HarperCollins Publishers for a couple of years, and I've been on the web team at Travis County for coming up on 10 years, and I'm now the web manager. I have 2 beautiful sons, beautiful wife, an ugly dog, and Twitter and Instagram @DirtDirt. So this is sort of what, you know, why are you here? If you're here because you think we're going to be able to deliver you a framework in the technical sense with which you will be able to build a government website, you should go to one of the other fine talks that's happening right now. Really, this is sort of a case study and a cautionary tale about how we went from the bad old days of our custom pages to the good new days of Joomla. We'll probably be a little lighter on technical details than you might like, and we will probably focus on content a little bit more than you might expect. But I think that there does anybody here work for a government agency or contract with a government agency? Hey, how are you? What? Where are you from?
City of Vancouver, actually.
City of Vancouver, awesome. I'm looking forward to your keynote. Awesome. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. And is this kind of, do people want to work with government? We were kind of talking about, like, why would people come to this? Because, you know, it's maybe not the most exciting part of the Joomla universe. But yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And feel free to sneak out if this isn't for you.
It's not even sneaking. Just,
just that's fine.
In fact, no.
So next we're going to kind of give you just a really simple diagram that'll outline our presentation. And here we go. This is maybe a quarter of our county org chart. And kind of, you know, this slide and the previous slide, I don't know if we have any sitcom Parks and Rec fans out there, but, you know, I think in government, my experience is there's some really passionate, bright people who want to make a difference. There are things in government you can't do anywhere else, or maybe not as well. But it's also just unbelievably frustrating at times. We just have, you know, this labyrinth of regulations and rules. It can be really boring. We also just have these constraints of very limited resources. I think there's, in my experience in government, there's just this really entrenched culture of risk avoidance. You know, in technology, we want to be on the cutting edge and we want to move forward. But I think in government, we're often pretty far behind. So that's something we've really struggled with, and Joomla's just been immensely helpful getting us into a better place.
Yep. Also, with all the sort of stasis with government, you also have the issue where every couple of years, all the leaders of your group are gone, and there are new people who come in and want to do things their own way and want to budget things their own way. So that's something that we contend with as well.
Yeah.
So here is our old site. This is where we started. and this is maybe circa 2012, and this was a slightly updated version of the site that probably started in the middle to late 90s, but really is basically built off the same thing. This is people who literally came over from, this before my time, this is people who came over from like the mainframe group and the computer operations center and started building web pages when, you know, the dub was on the cover of Time magazine and stuff. So it was ASP pages. Every page was a page that somebody edited. It was not a content management system. It was ASP, VBScript, client-side and server-side JavaScript. It was primarily table-based. There were font tags. There was a little bit of CSS, but not a lot. There was no overarching templating system. There was no way to really change every page at once. There were nested includes. It was not responsive. The word responsive meant something different then than it does now. If you were visiting it on a cell phone in 2012, you were hating your life, and that last word is the most important one. It was fugly. It looked terrible no matter what device you looked at it on. So at that point, when we decided that we needed to do something, we sort of had three paths. First one was Rogue. That was the path we were on. That was just continue doing what you're doing on your own with no help or hope from anybody. Obviously, we wanted to get away from that. Middle one was consultants and proprietary CMSs. And this is something that gets a lot of play in government work. There are a couple of custom CMSs that that government organizations, you know, colleagues of ours use, and you know, like any custom proprietary thing, once you're in it, you're on the hook, you're going to pay for it forever, and that's a hard sell for our organization. Then, of course, the last choice is open source. You know, the big selling point for that for us was the free thing. That's an easy sell for a lot of people in government. The real cost was one of human resources. We had to learn it. None of us knew it. There were a number of options we looked at. There was WordPress. There was Drupal. Another one you might have heard of was Joomla that we evaluated briefly.
Yeah, and I think, you know, part of that struggle is, you know, we just briefly touched upon the risk avoidance in government, and being able to put someone else on the hook with a proprietary CMS, I think is very appealing to an intransigent organization.
Absolutely.
And open source was really something, we didn't know anyone else who was doing that. We didn't have, you know, we hadn't done it, and our organization hadn't done it. So that was really a scary unknown, but we knew that going rogue wasn't working for us. It was terrible.
So yeah, our philosophy, what the role of a government website should be, starts with what the role of government is. And you know, in Travis County, I don't know if you know anything about Travis County. Travis County is in Texas. It's the city of Austin. It's a large urban county. It's a, you know, blueberry in a bowl of strawberries. It's a very diverse, liberal city, diverse, liberal county. Nearly 2 million people. It's big. It's got 5,000 acres of parkland. We run the courts, civil and criminal courts. We run the voting. We run the elections. We run the tax office. We run roads. We have the jail. Again, speaking a little bit to the blueberry in the bowl of strawberry soup, Travis County, you might have heard, the United States had an election a couple days ago, and Travis County went Democrat 67%. That's more than the state of Massachusetts. It's an extremely liberal place, and so the government's motivations and marching orders are a little bit different than they are in some other places. We have light fun things, boring administrative things, and then very heavy things. How do I find this park? How do I renew my car registration? How do I get my mom out of jail? All of the above.
And so part of this philosophy, you know, we really had to focus on the fact that we have primarily a transactional relationship with the public. You know, no one has ever said that they love the Department of Motor Vehicles. And we're a big part of that. People want to come to our website and renew their passport. They need to pay their property taxes, get their car title. sign up for jury duty, find out what they can take to the jail when they go visit a family member, you know, how to get bail, all those kinds of things. And the public's paying us, and we take that really seriously. We want to provide a good, seamless experience and let people get on with their day. They're not with us to have a ton of fun, and that's okay. We're okay with it.
We don't expect people to come visit our site every day and have it be fresh. We
Right.
expect them to come when they need something, and we expect to give them what they need.
Yes.
That's our hope.
And also, that being said, we have a monopoly on the content we provide and the services we provide. We're not in competition with other government agencies. We're not in competition with really the private sector at all. And we're not in it to make money. We're in it to get what we need done as cheaply as possible and as fast as we can.
Yep, absolutely. So the foundational principle, therefore, is customer service. It's giving the people what they need, providing fast, friendly, useful site, search that works, and searchable pages that will work in other people's search. You want to be able to view the site on any device. You want your site to be accessible to all citizens, and that means accessible with a capital A in terms of, for us, the American with Disabilities Act requires that we meet certain criteria of accessibility. It also means that that we meet the users where they are. Users are already on Twitter, they're already on Facebook, they're already using those things, and they're not already on our site. So to the extent that we can, we need to integrate those places that they already are with the things that we're going to build.
And I think some of this sounds really basic, but we weren't here. This was pretty revolutionary for us, which is probably hard, you know, I think kind of hard to wrap your head around, but it was just so bad before.
So yeah, and there's also the accountability, both in the sense of we need to be able to account for the money that we're spending as a government institution. We need to provide as professional, as good a thing with as low a budget as we can. But also, we want our website to be a vehicle of accountability. We want to help. It's a great way to remove barriers between constituents and the information that they own. Everything that we produce is ultimately owned by the taxpayers of Travis County, and that's an important thing. And so we want to be good stewards of tax dollars, and spending, you know, 7 figures on a custom CMS is not, in our opinion, being a good steward of those tax dollars.
And that 7-figure dollar amount, we didn't just make that up. That was something we had internally for an intranet site, and there was a big discussion about us moving on to this proprietary CMS that was extraordinarily expensive and difficult to use. So Joomla was our alternative to that. Yeah,
so if you're going to take away one lesson from this, how to design a government website in one easy step, it's very simple. The answer is
theft. So, you know, we, as we mentioned, have a really small team, limited resources. We hadn't done this before, and we did it all ourselves. So we stole a lot of things. We realized, you know, there are some government agencies that do a really great job with their web content. A lot of these agencies had huge teams of people. We've talked to, you know, some of these agencies that had, you know, 15, 20 people working on their existing site, 15, 20 people working on their new site all at the same time. So we tried to leverage some of that expertise and the services, design, content strategy that other agencies had paid for. So here's a quote that we just made up right now to validate our strategy. But yeah, we want, you know, when people, we have one of the fastest growing cities in the country, in the US, a lot of people moving in from out of state. And we wanted people to have, there's a common kind of vernacular on some of these better websites, and we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. As we said, we're not in competition. So we used better sites than ours as a starting point to get moving.
Absolutely. And so, you know, the best websites, like we say, are all built in similar ways. Not all built in the same way, but in similar ways. There are things that people expect. And so we did a lot of research during this process to look at what other people were doing and how we could do it. So,
yeah.
You know.
So as we started moving on to Joomla, we, you know, to try to move away from the way that our site was structured and organized, we looked at some of these kind of award-winning government websites and saw, okay, so the vegetables, we've got the navigation. We had kind of had it organized through our kind of administration in a way that just really didn't make sense to the public. We were getting that feedback a lot. We saw that a lot of sites, they had maybe a directory of departments. They also had, a big focus on resident services and business services. So those were kind of the three main buckets that we moved everything into. We also highlighted search and improved our search. So we had that right at the top. Then, the other kind of meta research we did, we, most of these sites have these kind of quick links and news items, and they're really the stuff that people have to see right away in the body of the page. So that's something we incorporated into our Joomla redesign. Then we've got our dessert, which is a slideshow. I think, we want the site to be beautiful, and we have a good time with this. We've kind of, over time, done kind of some more text equivalents so people don't have to sit and scroll through a big, graphic presentation. But, it sure does look a lot better than it used to in the old days. Okay, and then we've got our leftovers, or our footer. So this was another component of these other sites that we looked at. We've got branding. We usually have like some kind of official county seal, and then kind of just the leftovers that we have to have on there, but maybe not everyone needs to see immediately.
And there are things that as government site that we're beholden to put on there. Occasionally we have disclaimers or tax rate info or things like that that simply must be on the page, but not everybody wants to see it, and that goes in the leftover section typically. So yeah, this is it. The recipe ended up with, this is what, we chose Joomla. Joomla was for us the Goldilocks CMS. At the time, WordPress was baby bear. Wasn't taken seriously. Our security team at the time nixed it completely. Even though we had the one CMS that we had, our team had some experience with. One of the people was an advocate for WordPress. But security said absolutely not. So I think it's changed to some degree. And then obviously Drupal is the big mean bear, the daddy bear with, very industrial. But none of us had any experience with it, and we didn't want to wrestle with that bear. So we chose Joomla. It's extensible enough, it's developer friendly enough, and yet it was simple enough for us that as we sort of took exploratory steps to see if we could do it, we very quickly realized that we could, which was great. Also, Google has been a huge help, as I'm sure it is for some of you. We have Google Search on our page. We have YouTube. We have Google Webmaster Tools and Analytics. We have pages that are run off of Google Sheets. We have pages where we have a Google form processed in a Google Sheet that is then being displayed via a Google chart. All free, all reliable, all with fairly good support. As long as Google continues to obey their, don't be evil thing, we'll continue to use them, and if they stop, we're really screwed. Then extensions, we use, obviously, the bare metal Joomla gets you a fair way, but then there are extensions that we all use. We use Akiba, we use Breezing Forms, JCE, a couple slideshow extensions. We have a number of commercial extensions that we love, that we find invaluable, and we are more than happy to pay the little bit of money for them. It's cheap at twice the price to get somebody on the hook a little bit for support. We went from paying, I don't even know what the numbers are, but for our extensions we pay maybe $500 or $600 a year. That's for re-upping for some, and then for also buying new ones that we experiment with as need makes. Then information architecture and content strategy. We continually looked at analytics to try and make sure that it was right. Social media, again, meeting people where they are. In terms of the TV dinner slides, you might have noticed that social media was in different places. That's the one thing that doesn't seem to be consistent, and I guess it's because it's still emergent for a lot of government sites to integrate social media. Sometimes at the top, sometimes it's icons at the bottom, sometimes it's that little dingus that slides out from the side. I think people are just figuring it out. And then obviously best practices. We talked a little bit about accessibility. It was a requirement that everything was accessible, a requirement that things were responsive. We've given surveys, and we continue to did user testing, user story testing, watch how people move through the site.
And in terms of best practices, our old broken site, we managed events using a on production and access database.
Yeah.
So just having something that you could schedule and it worked. It's just been it's made our lives so much better.
Absolutely. So yeah, and then branding was a huge thing. You remember that initial slide of how the site was built? It was so ugly, and one of the requirements that we had from management down was that this thing looked good. So, we worked on building identity. People wanted a consistent user experience, but again, with government, it's not going to be the flashiest site in the world. There's a little bit of austerity that people expect and deserve with their government site. Differentiation. We wanted all of our sites to look and be professional, but we wanted there to be clear differences between the parks and the courts and the juvenile probation and the sheriff's office. These sites do different things and serve different audiences, so they should be a little bit different, and yet we wanted there to be a common syntax for the whole thing. Positioning also is, we've talked about this a couple times, but where do we fit in a user's life? We're okay just being a tiny part, and the branding helps allow that by being consistent and by removing barriers so that you can quickly do what you need to do.
Yeah, we've also created kind of a brand book and style guide, which we'll show later, and that's been really helpful. And part of this initial process, we had a very good designer who's no longer with us. But
he's alive. Yeah. He just went somewhere else. Yeah.
He's greener pastures.
Yeah.
But I think we've recommended to other government agencies, if they have some money in the beginning of this process, design services would be a great way to spend that to really get a good foundation there. Yeah. And it's something our site's so much better than it was a couple of years ago, but we still have a long way to go. And right now we have a new full-time designer who's a new member of our team, which we're really excited about starting next week.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, going from 4-person team to a 5-person team. So content strategy for dummies by dummies. That's really our story. What is most popular? Analytics. Invaluable. Finding out what people are actually looking for and how they're actually getting there, as opposed to what people in departments think people want to see. For instance, I'll make a little generalization, which is that no one has ever gone to a website and read a mission statement ever in the history of the world, and yet every department wants their mission statement to be front and center, but nobody else cares. So being able to point to real analytics that said, this really doesn't make sense to be front and center was huge. Question we ask departments, both when we were doing this redesign rebuild and when we meet with them now, the first question we ask is, what are people asking you when they call? What are they asking you when they email? And nearly all the time, we can provide that answer on the website, cut down on those calls and emails, allow those resources to be used for something better. What people need to know commonly is, how do I get to you? You're the tax office, how do I get there, how do I park? So we put, every time there is an address, we have a link to a Google map. And again, they already know how Google Maps work. It's, it's common for them. Contact information is the same thing. Having hot email, these are simple things that you all know, but they were important to articulate at the time. What you want to promote, again, sometimes you will be overruled. You will be forced to put something that a department head or an elected official who outranks you wants to do, and sometimes you have to roll over. That's just the way it is. That's the stench of politics.
Or like a paragraph in all caps that has to go on the home page.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is, and there's just nothing we can do.
Yeah.
So just learning to live with that. Okay, so getting some buy-in. Really, we throw around this figure a lot, and it's probably obnoxious how much we do, but we had 5,000 discrete pages and 25,000 PDFs on our old site. And we had to get our team, none of us who knew Joomla, to learn it, and then to commit to that horrible, horrible process of manually making this work. So that was our first step. And then we also had to get our stakeholders in our IT department on board. We have kind of a small security team, we have a network team, we have a server team.
Bunch of assets.
So we really needed all of those people to buy into this because we just couldn't have done it without them. And then we also have, our clients, which are these, it's the sheriff's office, it's the park rangers, it's the people who administer courts. This group of stakeholders, we had to sell this to them. And I mean, people were skeptical. It was a hard sell to do something very new. That was going to be really difficult.
And why, I think that the initial reaction we got from a lot of people was, why should we learn this when what we've got is working and we don't have to risk anything? I think that's a common thing, at least in our government, is why take a risk when what's there is working? And the answer is it isn't working.
Right. And I think people just didn't realize how bad it was until we had something better. So, choosing our allies. This was really key. We had a lot of skeptics, and we wanted to choose people who would help us succeed. We had kind of two larger departmental clients that went for it, and were very kind and patient, and helped let us hold their hands through the process. We had some, park ranger staff, and then our sheriff's office staff, and they allowed us to build proof of concept. And that was huge because once people saw how much better it could be and that they could manage some of their own content, it worked.
Yeah.
It wasn't broken all the time. People liked it, and we didn't have to work as hard to sell it once we had that proof of concept. We're also able to kind of snowball those first Joomla sites into our many other sites.
Yeah.
We have about 40, 50 departments. So
Inertia works both ways. Works both ways. When it was still, it tended to remain still, and then once we got it going, it was easier to keep it going. Once we had people on board moving with us, it was much easier to sell moving forward.
And the crowbar of analytics was huge because when we told people, we need to make it responsive and mobile friendly, people were like, well, I don't have a smartphone. People are like, I don't know what you're talking about.
But 60% of users are coming to your site on a smartphone, and they can't see your content because it's not responsive and it breaks on a phone. So get in line.
So in our other kind of huge component of what we needed was thoughtful leadership. We've talked to other government organizations, and when they don't have this, we don't really know what to tell them because we just absolutely couldn't have done it without our chief information officer. Pretty early into this process, we had someone who worked very closely with our team, had hired many of us, was very supportive of our vision. She was promoted into that head IT role. And she's been our strongest advocate. Yep. If this slide doesn't say it, we just absolutely adore her. Her name's Tanya Acevedo.
She's the greatest.
So great.
She is. We talked about how we talked to some other agencies that have much bigger teams, and they have a transition team, so they're able to maintain their website while they build a whole new website. We didn't have that, and Tanya was able to convince the people who we were giving a little bit of less service currently that we could give them much more. And she took a lot of heat and patted a lot of backs along the way, and we absolutely could not have done without it.
I mean, she really backed us up when we needed it the most, and had the vision to realize how important this was.
Yeah. So step one is have a really awesome CIO.
Yeah.
Mm. So security, I'm not going to address this too much because really it has to be addressed at every level of everything. There's no point getting into the details. It's like saying, well, and you also need electricity in your data center to run the computers. Like it's got to be foundational. And we had this slide, when we built the deck a couple weeks ago, and we kept it in out of pity.
Yeah, it was just too sad. We didn't have the energy to take it out after the election. Oh, yeah.
About security, does your IT department block every visitor from outside the US?
We do not, but they block more than we would like, and it has ramped up around the election because, our security apparatus and our security team have tightened things down around the election to block more countries. I have argued vehemently against that. I think we should be completely wide open. The argument on their side is we are for Travis County taxpayers specifically, and so what benefit do we get from?
You are from Travis County?
Yes.
You wanted to look at the website from here? And
Yes.
you block.
Yes, I think it's insane. I think it's
Yeah.
I think it's horrible.
If I would be a hacker and I would do stuff, I could do some public proxy from the US.
You are
Yes.
preaching to the choir, my friend. You really are. It's one of those things. It's like, yeah, I agree. It's terrible. It's a terrible state of affairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We wish it wasn't that
Yeah,
way.
and we've had those arguments, and it wasn't like that recently. It's been ramped up.
Yeah, that's one
you
of
know.
our roles is providing election results. So
Yeah.
things have been a little harried lately.
Yeah, but so we try to have a culture of safety, belt and suspenders. We have a number of different ways that we try to protect ourselves from anything. Some of them are stupid, but and in fact we have belt and suspenders and another pair of pants on under our pants. For instance, the 3.6.4 update, which I'm sure you are all aware of a couple weeks ago, lit up everybody's alarms in our organization, but even before we were able to patch, which, was not as quick as we would like, but not that long, but even before we were able to patch, we were already protected by having our administrative pages protected in a couple of other ways, a number of ways. So it's something that is foundational to everything we do. Back that thing up, we have both Akiba backups and then tape backups on our servers. Regular updates, again, we do them as they come, both the Joomla core itself and extensions, and then constant vigilance. Again, it is just foundational, something that we think about whenever we start a new part of any project. So yeah, our team, like I say, there are 4 of us. I'm the web manager. Kate is the senior webmaster. We have a webmaster who's been with us for 7 years maybe, who was an intern when she started, and then we just hired our last intern is now a webmaster as well. He's a young go-getter, and then next week we will be onboarding a designer, which is really, really exciting. She will be working with us and with the websites a lot, but she also will have other non-web duties. But we're going to squeeze all the juice we can out of her.
Yeah. And speaking of interns, this is one of our biggest pieces of advice.
Yeah, if you're doing anything like this, any giant rebuild, redesign, especially as a government agency, getting an intern is a huge, huge thing, because you can give an intern the horrible, horrible jobs that you can't bring yourself to do and you can't hire people to do, and they'll do it. They need a little bit more supervision than whatever a more seasoned person will, but literally we had an intern that we gave just the most miserable stuff and had them doing it 20 hours a week, making less than minimum wage, and they did it great and tirelessly, and they were happy to do it, and their guidance counselor was happy to have them do it, and we were, it was terrific. The only thing that could be cheaper is, for instance, we've never done this, but in Travis County, there are prison labor programs. The people who are in jail, you can bring out for like work details. So we toyed around the idea of doing that.
I mean, that's really how much we didn't want to do this.
Yeah.
We knew it had to be done, but we really were like, can we make this happen?
Yeah, can we-
I
can we-
think they could probably copy and paste.
Yeah.
1,000
for 8 hours a day.
articles into Joomla.
But it was
yeah,
cruel and unusual, so we didn't do it.
it was terrible. Yeah, that poor intern.
Yeah. But again, they do have to, there's a level of supervision that they require, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that you need to watch out
Give
for.
Chris some of your drink tickets later, so he'll tell you
Yeah.
some of the stories. So pitfalls, of which there were many. As we mentioned, we have broken our site many times. It's usually me, but over and over and over again, and usually, but not always in test. Really, the primary challenge that we had was our learning curve. We didn't know Joomla. We'd never done this before. But as you may know, Joomla has a very strong community. We availed ourselves of some really good online training. We check the forums all the time. And we're just willing to try new things and do it and learn. We have complementary strengths on our team. I think for a 4-person team, we get a lot done. But it's been tough. It's been a journey. And then, terrible things happen. And
Yeah, there are surprises
Right,
from time to
right.
time.
yeah, we've been pretty lucky though. It hasn't been this bad.
Yeah.
For us.
You
I know, right? That's,
Yeah, I packed my wife and kids in my luggage, and we're. Yeah.
I really thought there'd be like a question in immigration when we got in, like, are you really here for a conference? So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
press play on this. This is a scrolling list of all of our menu items on our main Joomla instance. We have a couple different instances, but scalability is something that we struggle with. So we have a really large Joomla site with hundreds and hundreds of menu items. So knowing what we know now, we maybe would have set some things up a little differently, but it can be kind of overwhelming to comb through all of our content. We have some kind of, I think, known issues with maybe Joomla sites that are very large, some timeouts and issues assigning modules to hundreds and hundreds of pages. But so that's something we're working on and kind of struggling with is the sustainability element, as well as just making sure we can scale it efficiently.
Yeah. To be clear, we never have trouble serving pages. We never have trouble providing service, but occasionally we have trouble, applying something to a number of pages or rebuilding menu or something.
Right. And now that we're, it's easy to forget how bad it was before because these are minor problems.
Yeah.
It's nothing that we can't get through. But anyway, we want to continue to grow and make our sites better. So that's something that we're going to focus on
Absolutely. Another challenge we had is, as I'm sure you're all aware, Joomla is typically a LAMP stack, Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, but our server team is a Windows team and was reluctant to take on administration of servers that they weren't suited to. So instead of being LAMP, we are WIMP, Windows IIS, MySQL, PHP, and it has worked fine. It's really worked fine, but it's occasionally frightening when you have an issue and you search and every answer is Apache when you're on IIS, and it's something sort of deep in the weeds. But again, we really have never had a problem, and in fact, Microsoft's platform installer has worked great for us.
So just another element of our challenges. I think in some ways, and this is kind of ridiculous to say, but we've been a little bit a victim of our own success because we have, everything's looking so much better and it works. And so we have a lot of, our 6,000 or so employees that want to amp up their web presence. So we really just work on, we have our limited resources and people, want it good and fast and cheap. And I think we're delivering and we're doing our very best. But there are just some managing expectations there.
But the resource allocation of building Joomla has allowed us to then reallocate resources to providing better service. It's been a win on every level.
Right. And I think like we said earlier, we're maybe step 5 out of 10. We're a lot better than where we were, but we're not where we want to be.
Yeah. We're not even arguably with a passing grade.
Right.
The 7-8 is where we're aiming for.
And that other element, the ego component, we have the people with their mission statements. They've worked on it for months. They want it to be in blinking font text. They want it to be, rainbow of colors. They want the clip art with the watermark.
I spent 2 hours working on this in Paint today, and by gosh, you're going to put it on the site.
Right. So, managing that and, working with a really broad range of users. And, we want the site to be great. We want it to be beautiful and perfect. And we just had to give that up because it wasn't ever going to happen. And for us, good enough just had to be good enough because that was as good as we were going to get. Yeah, so we've had to make some compromises and concessions over this process.
Yep. So here we are again. You remember Mr. Fugly, table-based, disparate pages, impossible to modify across the board. Expensive platform in the sense that it wasn't a CMS, but it was in the cost of human suffering to update anything. It was terribly expensive. It was non-responsive. It didn't look good when it looked good, and when it looked bad, it didn't look like anything at all. It was just broken. And again, that bottom line, it was fugly. It just was a poor user experience for everybody. It was just clunky. And then this is more or less what it looks like now. Joomla, obviously. you know, again, we pay for some extensions, but the foundation is the free Joomla bare metal. Has, as you may know, a robust community of developers, and our templates are responsive, consistent, you know, platforms, accessible via anything.
Unless you're in Canada.
Unless you're in Canada, yes, or basically anywhere else, apparently. And you know, there's a unified look and feel and consistency of experience that comes with having all this in a single CMS, and we're very happy with that. It's also agile-ish in the sense that we don't have to wait to produce a giant overarching update if we want to change some small navigation piece or something like that. We're able to respond much more nimbly to users' needs. And yeah.
And we've had good luck with relying on a template. We have this kind of web style guide that we use both for our small team and some of our departmental users. And it's been an almost unbelievably remarkable, reliable stick for us to use. When people ask us for ridiculous things, we like go in and change our procedures and then say, look, but it's in the procedures. You can't do that. It just doesn't work. It's impossible. So that's been really useful for us. Yes, we do.
We don't follow them, but we
They're
have
policies.
them. Yeah.
We try.
Yeah. That actually, is that articulated in there?
Yes, it sure is.
See, aren't we
Absolutely.
great? Yeah, good for us.
It is, yes.
So yeah, you know, where are we going? You know, we're much better than we were, but we've got a long way to go. We have a strong foundation, and there are a lot of things that Joomla has allowed us to do. And one of our motivations in doing this here is something that we're actually looking for help with is ammunition when we are confronted with the why Joomla, why not WordPress, why not Drupal, why not, I can't remember even the name of it, Gov, whatever. There's some horrible CMS that a lot of people use. You know,
all the government people we talk to just hate being on it.
Yeah,
but, I mean,
but yet
we
they
get those
keep
sales
on
calls every day, so we need to be able to kind of defend ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we are moving and trying new templates. We've gone from kind of just building our own to looking at some commercial options, which is exciting. We don't have any in production yet, but we've got a bunch on test that we're trying out. We want to do more interactive data. We're focusing on that. But really, we want to take it to the next level and make sure that we keep pushing ourselves and that we aren't complacent. Because just because it's a lot better than it was doesn't mean that it's where we want it to be yet.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep.
Yes.
We use features in Joomla like ACL, like access control level and versioning and multilingual.
Yes. But not as well as we want to yet. That's something, along with kind of scalability, we're struggling a little bit with managing users and kind of implementing a workflow. So that's another thing we want to spend more time on.
Versioning when we were pointed out that light was a gigantically helpful thing
Changed
for us.
our lives.
But it's like, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, you know, and we've had challenges with that a lot. Part of why we're here. So yeah, thank you. You know, I noticed that our hashtag has not provided any questions. Does anybody have any other questions we can answer? Yeah, please.
Yeah, so our question is based on some underlying assumptions about how you operate.
Sure.
How do you, in the case of the multi-user access, do you do public-private partnership things? So, for example, within the school system, do you allow the PTA or whatever you call them to contribute to the website before the things, or football league coordinate with recreation department field use and have them put content directly onto the page?
We don't have anybody except for a few departments who have the resources to do so, contributing content directly to pages. We do have a number of public-private or other public, you know, connections where people send us content and we update it on the site. But we do it, yeah, absolutely. We
do
basically
most of the lifting. I mean, we have, you know, park rangers that are updating things at the park, and I mean, we have. I mean, I think that's something that we need to address more. And we struggle with it.
We struggle with it, and our reluctance has been one of a workflow, just making sure that we had accountability and verification on people updating. There are a few groups, again, who have the resources that they have staff member who are able to really focus on it and do it right, and they're doing it great. But we are not yet, and I doubt we ever will be in a place where every person can just update their content directly.
Yeah.
Again, there are 5,000 people in the county. It would be a terrible thing. Yes, please.
So this is one of the largest sites I've ever seen. Congratulations on that. Choosing Joomla, I think it's great. That you chose it. I feel better. Now, two technical questions. Do you consider having microsites for each department versus one big, and do you go through that decision process? And the second, even more technical, how did you organize your CSS file?
Okay. The microsites, as I recall, we talked about it, and it seemed at the time intractable. It just seemed like the challenges of having one giant site seemed very clear, understandable challenges. And as I recall, we sort of felt like we were signing ourselves up for something that we didn't understand the implications of as we grew. As it turns out, I think maybe microsites might have been a better way to go, but
And we have a few microsites. I mean, for us, we have like 40, 50 departments. We didn't want 50 different sites for a team of 4 people to manage.
Yeah.
But we do have a couple different sites, and
Yeah.
certainly our smaller sites.
Yeah. Well, we also, we have
Yeah.
different instances even.
Yes.
Our tax office site is on a completely different instance.
Google running the search for UI
Sheriff's site is a completely
kinds of things.
So you would update it on the non-sheriff site or the sheriff site?
No.
So which are different instances?
So we've got a whole separate server stack running that operates our sheriff's site, and it's siloed from the site, from the traviscountytx.gov site, even though they're both both operated by us, both run by us, both built in the same way. They're actually completely separate, firewalled, not for any capital F firewall reason, but they're completely separate, air-gapped sites. Yes. Yeah.
We
yeah.
have 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 or
yeah.
6. Yeah.
But not 40 or 50. So
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
relief. And in terms of managing the CSS, all this stuff, I'm like, how much are we exposing our ignorance? But
Yeah.
we have built our own template that we use primarily. So we.
So it's always we can do those.
We're starting to try out some Joomla art sites, and that's cool. It's really different than the way we've set it up manually. So that's part of our new thing that we're trying out. We're starting to use some commercial templates, so that's kind of where we're moving next. I think. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Good. Yeah, we like it. We haven't. It's not on production yet, but we're.
But we probably will be putting
Yeah.
sites that use it in production within the next couple months.
Yes. Right. Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
I think it's going to be great. And unfortunately, the way we produced our template ourselves got us into like a minor version of the same trouble we were in with the old system, in that it's terribly brittle, and the only way you can use it is by knowing how it works. You can't learn anything. You can't ask anybody. You just have to have to know it.
It's totally customized.
Yeah.
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 Well, yeah, it's true.
We work for the government. We already have.
Yeah, we don't. Yes. Jim?
Mhm. So it is a problem that we haven't solved, but we have an application development group that is a Microsoft shop, C# stuff, and when they produce applications that we need to consume or display within our thing, they either provide us raw HTML files, which we use a free way to load directly on the page. Sometimes I hate to say it, but sometimes we use frames, and then sometimes we have them produce us an API that we then write PHP that we'll put out on the page. that last way is the way that we want it to work. We would prefer, because also that the application development group produces really horrible looking stuff. It works very well, but it's horrible looking. You can get them to get the front Joomla, it works great, and that's the designer that we're hiring. That's part of her marching orders, is to help build evidence about how much better these things could be, that we'll use to leverage that open. Anyone else?
Yeah, and one of the reasons we're here, we'd love any advice you have, or if you say like they're not doing it right. We are very open to that.
Yeah,
so.
like regularly, every couple months, I have this like, there's no way that this sitemap is this is supposed to be, But I think it is. We just are a funny use case in our size.
We have a dream that maybe there's like we're doing it all wrong, and there's some really easy way that we're gonna learn today, and we're gonna go back and like
it's like
it's all gonna work
fixed data.
perfectly. Oh my God.
And then magically better. Is there a button like that for?
Years we just thought that was like a joke placebo button, like push shut on the elevator. But yeah, one day just clicked it and everything worked again. It was great. Yeah. So, I'm sure there are a lot of things like that we don't know. We don't know.
Again,
so.
we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
But, It's all right. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Keep you.